What is up, squad? It's your boy Shadow Sonata dropping in at the mall. You might have noticed in my last Valorant tips and tricks video that some hard-stuck silvers were seething when I pointed out that women are just time vampires that lower elo. So I figure, what better way to beat the Rizless beta allegations than bagging a Radiant level baddie? Greetings, female. Deobormon is a very unique strategy that centers around spawning tokens and either using them as a resource engine or using them to establish board control through superior numbers. These tokens are treated as Deobormon, who are level 6 white Digimon with 3k DP and a play cost of 14, and it's these unique stats that carved out an interesting niche in the EX1 format. But that was years ago, and not only has removal just gotten better over time, Deobormon can't keep up because it turns out it was taking up valuable real estate for Greymon support. Look, as a Deobormon enthusiast, I know I haven't had the worst stuff. I mean, the Puppetmon fan had to wait like 20 sets for another card. But I think I'm allowed to be a little frustrated when after 2 years, the only piece of support we've gotten had to be democratically elected. This card's not only a fantastic boss monster that we've been long overdue for, it's actually the first Ace monster we're covering on the channel. Ace Digimon are a new concept that was initially introduced in the game in Structure Decks 15 and 16 and are a way to try to encourage interaction between players during turns. The way it works is that after your opponent has declared an attack and all the effects that activate it because of said attack have resolved, you enter counter timing. And during this timing, if you have a Digimon on your side of the field that matches the Digivolution requirements of an Ace Digimon in hand, you're able to go into it for free during your opponent's turn. And they call it Blast Digivolving, and this new Deobormon sure shit living up to that name. When Digivolving, this Deobormon will play out a token, and he has an all turns effect that once per turn allows him to pop a 3-cost or lower Digimon whenever a Digimon is played by effect, but he can increase the value of the target by 2 for every Deobormon on the field, which means by default, this guy's killing most level 5s! What the fuck, why is nobody clapping? While the Ace Deobormon allows you some board control against low-to-the-ground aggro strategies, the issue is that the average Digimon deck typically relies on promoting out a level 5, Digivolving to level 6, and then swinging in afterwards. But thankfully, because it's a black-based deck, you have multiple tools that allow you to force your opponent to trigger your counter timing. You have the 1-cost Laplace's Demon that allows you to pick a Digimon on your opponent's side of the field and force it to attack at the start of the main phase, and the 6-cost Trident Arm, which does the same thing, but also Digivolves a stack by 3, and both of these cards just have this really fun, why are you hitting yourself energy. These cards not only remove bodies, but take away your opponent's tempo, because while they have a Digimon that's afflicted with these effects, they'll have to keep anything that's 7 cost or lower in raising, unless you smite them for their ignorance of the Deobormon matchup. But even with all that, Ace Deobormon is just better to use during your turn. I mean, first of all, almost all of your relevant effects trigger during your turn anyway, but this guy can spawn a token when Digivolving and when attacking. Because the deletion effect is optional, you could Digivolve, spawn a token, swing in, spawn another, and now you can pop things that are 9 cost or more, which is just infinitely better. And while yes, this is a risky end board, it does end with 3 bodies on the field and the ability to pop a Digimon played by your opponent's effects, rather than ending on like a level 5 and a prayer. Having the ability to blast Digivolve is nice, but it just shouldn't be your main game plan. It should be treated as a unique feature, kind of like a fridge with Bluetooth that gives you amnesia if anyone takes it away. Who am I? Oh hey, the kitchen. Might as well talk about eggs while we're here. You have the BT5 Summon who on attack lets you draw a card if the Digimon has unidentified in its type, and the one you actually play BT2 Summon, because your boss monsters cap out at 11k, so getting a 2k boost while there's a token on the field is just kind of necessary. But hey, keep this guy in mind when there's a Deobormon card worth drawing. What a classic bit I wrote in like November. I hope nothing happens to completely change it. The BT2 Keramon has an inheritable effect that allows you to draw a card whenever a Digimon with the same name is played, which pairs very nicely with this Kurisarimon from the same set that gains you a memory whenever the same condition is met. And because neither of them have a once per turn clause, they make for a fantastic resource engine, making them a staple in Deobormon decks since the dawn of time. It's interesting to see the oldest cards in the archetype still see regular play, while their newest line from EX1 rarely does. You have EX1 Keramon, which gets you an extra 1k for every Digimon with the same name on the field, which I think is pretty good, but kind of runs into this interesting philosophical question. Will your logical mind, with the ability to recognize the importance of floodgates, reboot, blocker, extra security attack, be able to beat the beast inside that just really wants to see a bigger number? And EX1 Kurisarimon is just kind of shit. It has an herald that lets you unsuspend, but only after a Digimon with the same name dies, so to even use this effect, you need a token that's been around for at least a turn to swing in and die after you've already attacked with your main stack. Blackwork Realmon existed 2 sets prior. Couldn't we just do that again? I don't get it. Just run the Decoy Kurisarimon. It's like the second worst protection in the game, but it'll help you not lose 4 memory when your guy dies, so you might as well go for it. BT5, I'd say, is the most important line in the deck because it is just your consistency boosters. BT5 Keramon allows you to search the top 5 cards of your deck and add Arata Sonata and anything with unidentified in its type to your hand, which means Quartzmon is searchable in Deobormon! Fuck! At least I think. For some reason, it's debatable. You see, the BT5 Keramon can only add unidentified type Digimon, but if you look at Quartzmon, it's unidentified in its attributes. But unidentified is only a type in Digimon, and if you look in the wiki and from this email from Cardass themselves, it says that it is searchable, it is unidentified type, but it's not on the errata page. So I guess just save a screenshot of this for the Judge Call matchup. The BT5 Kurosarymon is one of, if not the best card in the deck, but also is the forbidden fruit of tech choices for Eosmon builds. His inheritable gives Digimon with the same name Rush, which means now your passive resources of token become active threats on the board. And turning one Ace Deoboromon to 3 possible checks is just the beginning of this card's utility because it is the first level 4 to play out a Tamer for free, and what a Tamer does it play! It's Arata Sonata, the only Tamer who's chronically online by choice. No! I would never say that! If there's an unidentified trash, you gain a memory, and when Digivolving into Deoboromon, you can suspend him to play out another token. And if you can get multiple on the field, you can fill the board with so many tokens that a Thespian Ret might try to break your legs. The Inframon are just stepping stones to Deoboromon, and they don't strive to be anything more. You got the BT2 Inframon, who allows you to reduce the Digivolution cost by 1 if you go into a Deoboromon. Combine that with the defense training, free Deoboromon. The BT5 Inframon, I'm a little conflicted on. It's nice that Keramon can warp right into it for just 4 costs, but then you're missing out on some of your best inheritables, but, you know, beggars can't be choosers, and at least if it dies, you get a token. The X1 Inframon is like the weirdest one. It gives a 2k buff to all your tokens, which is really cool in a world where Crimson Blaze doesn't exist. But it has this sort of floodgate effect where if your opponent Digivolves into a level 5 or higher, you gain a memory. Take that, ex-Sandy body enthusiasts. That costs 1 more now. At the end of the day, none of them even hold a candle to the BT11 Inframon, whose on-play and when Digivolving effect allowed you to search the top 5 cards, play out a Tamer for free, and then you could put those remaining cards at the bottom or the top of your deck in any order. And as if getting free Tamers and being able to legally stack your deck wasn't enough, it had an inheritable that if a Digimon was played by an effect, you gain blocker for your stack. Of course, there is one problem. There is no BT11 Inframon. This is BT11 Mamemon. Isn't that fucked? And then we reach the promo Deoboromon line, aka the sewer line, cause they're shit. Their effects are pathetic and their synergy is non-existent. All these cards culminated into the original promo Deoboromon, who is probably one of the greatest bait cards ever printed. And I fall for it every time, baby! He gets an extra security check for every Deoboromon on the field, including himself. 3 tokens, 5 checks. What's the worst that can happen? Like, obstacles? Joking aside, I still think this card's worth consideration because it can close out games very quickly, and it shares a utility that only the Ace Deoboromon in itself has, and the fact that it's not white. I love quinoa salads. For some reason, unbeknownst to me, or even God, they decided that if it wasn't a promo Deoboromon, it would be a white Digimon, which caused a lot of consistency issues. You really underappreciate having a top end that matches the rest of your line, because for a very long time, you couldn't run consistency boosters like Memory Boost or now the new defense training without bottom decking your main boss monster. If you're looking for secondary level 6s, BT2 and BT5 Deoboromon are not them. Both their token spawning abilities are replicated by the Ace Deoboromon, although BT2's battle protection is a bit better now that raid exists as a keyword. The X1 Deoboromon used to be the card you built your entire deck around, but its ability to give all Deoboromon blocker on your opponent's turn went from a win con to just this niche thing that the deck can still do. Also, it's a level 6 with like a security effect, which is pretty interesting. It spawns a token for free, and you don't even need a Deoboromon stack to do that. Isn't that neat? I fucking hate this card. I know people play it. Digivolve 2 isn't bad, and why do I need to have an established deck to get a free token? Now, back in the day, Deoboromon decks didn't have access to the same generic level 7s the other black decks did, so to make up for it, they gave us Armageddonmon, a 15 cost, 15k Digimon with Rush that can reduce its play cost by 12 if you pop a Deoboromon on the field. Armageddonmon also has a Floodgate effect that prevents level 7 Digimon from activating their Wind Digivolving effects, which was always seen as gimmicky at best, but it turns out he was just really patient. Yeah! Where's your free Tamer now, you dusty bitch? And here's the list I was using to tool around with if you want to take it for a spin yourself. And if you thought this video was pretty irrelevant going into EX5 format, let me tell you, it's about to get even less relevant because they're coming out with Deoboromon support again. And you know what? I'm not waiting to find out. We got the time machine booted up. We're finding out right now! Wyoming isn't there anymore. Nobody would tell me why.